Hello everybody, my name is Legion and welcome back to another Star Wars Legion report card video. Once again, this is our new ranking system for the report cards, and this is how I process the grades. Feel free to pause and read those out if you want to see how I'm going about this. Today we're going to be doing something very specific. It's going to be all operatives because I think there's enough to cover in one video without having to split all the factions up. But what I'm going to do to make it a little bit easier on putting them all together is I'm going to exclude everyone that is a bounty hunter, everyone that has access to the bounty keyword that is currently released. So it's going to be all the factions. So if you have an operative that isn't a bounty hunter, this is the place to find him. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The Empire only has access to one operative that's not a bounty hunter, and it's Darth Vader. This is the operative version of Darth Vader, and I give him an A+. I think he is amazing. I think this is the character to bring if you are someone that is struggling, someone that is new, someone that just wants to have fun and kind of turn your brain off. This is your guy. He's got Deflect, Immune Pierce, Jedi Hunter, Master of the Force 1, Relentless, Courage 3, 7 health, that beautiful 5 red lightsaber with Impact 3, Pierce 3. Then he has a built-in range 2 Blast and Scatter. He gets 2 Force upgrades, 2 training slots. If I had to give him some upgrades, I'd probably do something like Force Push, obviously, then maybe Force Choke or Force Reflexes. Into the Fray is great with him because, you know, all the surges you can get, the better, especially since he doesn't surge to hit. And then probably like Tenacity. I would say Tenacity 9 times out of 10. But you can do other stuff. If you want to do Situational or Endurance, if you're feeling that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But he's got some good upgrade spots. He's a great Force user. His biggest weakness was the fact that he didn't have jump, but now you can climb, so honestly that makes him even better. Built-in range 2, so yes, you can do the saber throw, but with heavy cover I would argue that those 2 blacks might actually be more effective now. So that's great. Courage 3, awesome. And he has access to all those amazing Vader command cards. He's not exactly cheap as some of his cons. He does not surge, so unless he's fighting another Force user, he's not getting that surge to crit, so he does have a card that helps him get and generate surges, which is amazing. And he can be a little bit order greedy with his cards, but I think that's okay. I think he's in a faction where you don't really have to pass out orders too much. He's also a big part of why successful lists like Blizzard Force are successful, because you can just surround him with all this different stuff, and he just makes it that much better. Even though he's not much of a support commander or anything like that, he has the ability to dominate. Vader, with all these cards, is my example of if you wanted a model that could win you the game by himself, here you go. This is the guy. Placable, taking a wound, getting 2 actions, dodges on both those. Vader Smite, super objective, super aggressive, whatever you need it to be. Just extra free Force Push that does wounds, height 1, range 1. New ways to motivate them. 1 more action, take a wound for it. Fear and Dead Men, you get the Deflect. You get dodges every time someone activates at range 1 to 2. And instead of surges being death, if you blank any dice, congratulations, your opponent has to pay the price as well. They take a wound. Master of Evil, everyone at range 1 to 2 gets 3 suppression, and he gets a dodge. And then Darkness Descends, you can either divulge it to Infiltrate and get Scout 1, or you can just play it for the Reliable 2. All these cards are great, deserve their own video, honestly, but we've talked about these before, so if you are someone that is looking to play this game as a newer player, or someone that has been playing a long time and maybe has struggled a little bit, I just don't think you can go wrong with Vader. I think if you have a bad first game with him, a bad second game with him, heck, bad third game with him, I think if you keep putting him on the table, keep learning to get better with him, I think you're going to see some amazing games that go in your favor just because of this guy. I don't think he's overcomplicated. I don't think he's anything crazy. I just think he is bread and butter simple while also being able to wipe out whole armies by himself. And these cards just kind of add to that. So if you guys have ever wanted to try him out, please do. He's a blast. He's a ton of fun. Highly recommend him. I give him an A+ just because of all these cards. He's got all the keywords. He can hang with all the Force users because of his surges. From Darkness Descends, things like Into the Fray. It's going to allow him to surge to defend a lot of times. He gets a lot of dodges from some of these cards. Gets to go twice, gets to pick stuff up and throw it around and have 2 Force pushes. I mean, he's got it all. Heck, he can do suppression too. All these cards are amazing. So ever wanted to try him, please do. If you kind of gave up on him, you might bust him back out, because I think he's perfectly fine. He's part of one of the best lists in the game as well. Operative Vader just kind of takes Commander Vader, and maybe he's a little bit better. Infinite Courage is nice. Being able to do those things are awesome, but being cheaper and just speed 2 in general, yeah, huge double thumbs up for me. Love this guy. Chewbacca, 90 points, give him a C. Using Rage 4, Guardian 3, Scale, Rip, Teamwork Han Solo, 9 health, 2 courage, Surge to crit, 4 red in melee with lethal 1, and then 2 red, 2 white, impact 1, pierce 1 at range 3. 2 training slots and a gear slot. I'd probably give him something like Tenacity and Protector, and for the gear slot, probably wouldn't touch that, honestly. For the most part, Chewie's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I know a C maybe seems harsh, but I just think he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to Guardian stuff and give things more HP. That's his pros. He's got good synergy with Han and a couple other things. Enrage is nice. Once you kind of get up to that level, it's like, okay, now unlimited courage, don't have to worry about that, and I can really utilize that tenacity build with 5 red. I mean, that's a Darth Vader saber off the rip. Search crit's awesome. So, bad cons, he doesn't have access to surges. Like, 9 health is 9 health for the most part. You are going to die after getting hit 9 times, and believe it or not, that's not nearly as much as you think it is. Especially even if we're guarding for other units and things like that. But it does help when you're kind of splitting up those wounds onto different things rather than your MK2 or your Rebel Vets or Luke or whoever it is just taking wounds. Because he can Guardian everything, and that's probably the best part about his kit, is the ability to Guardian whatever he wants. I do think he kind of needs to go with Han to get things like dodges and aims. I think they work really well together. I don't think they have to, but you know, it's on the card, so it always feels kind of implied when I'm looking at him. His command cards, I don't want to say they suck, but it does feel bad that all of his command cards kind of only go with one person. We'll look at him in a second, but if I had to run some upgrades on him, I'd probably do the Protector, the Training. I know I said it, but I think that those are both good options. Into the Fray, something you could consider, but nothing crazy there. I don't think Chewie's anything blow your mind. Common Cause, after Chewie activates, if Luke Skywalker has face supporter token, he may activate. After Luke Skywalker activates, if Chewie has face supporter token, he may activate. So essentially they can both go at the same time. Cool, I guess. Doesn't seem that crazy. Very similar on Brains and Brawn. When Leia is performing a ranged attack, if Chewbacca is not engaged, and has line of sight to, and is range 1, 2, 3 of the defender, add one of his ranged weapons to the attack pool. So kind of like a free fire support. I think it's pretty cool. Notorious Scoundrels, on the other hand, I really like this card. Choose one of Han Solo's command cards from your discard pile and return it to your hand. It's a really nice way to get Reckless Diversion, all of Han's cards back in your play, especially the 0 pip. I mean, essentially guaranteeing you going first twice is pretty good. So, I don't think any of these stand out. I don't think any of these are amazing. But I think they're all fun to try at least once, and maybe there's some people out there that have found some successful stuff. I've seen the 2-pip and the 3-pip used well. I don't know how many people I've ever seen use Common Cause, because when you're running Chewie and Luke, you're probably bringing Han as well, and that means you're probably bringing some Luke 1-pips or Han 1-pips. I just don't think this one quite justifies that, but I kind of feel the same way with all 3 of these, honestly. But still cool cards, and I like the thematic hero aspect of, you know, the hero hammer faction. New person, Dadbod Boba. I give him a C+. He is still a newer unit, so I will say this with precautions. If you find him to be way more successful or way less successful, that's okay. But this is how I feel about A, playing against him mostly, and B, playing with him, I think twice. No, I've only played him once, but I have played against him about 9 times already. People in our community love Mandalorians, so Jump 1, Arsenal 2, Impervious, Independent Standby, Sentinel, Sharpshooter 1, Tac 1, 5 health, 3 courage, Search crit, Search defend. The stick, 3 red, 1 black. And then the carbine is 3 black, Pierce 1. He's pretty cool. Looking at his upgrades, I would consider things like Hunter to really value him out. I would actually really consider Tenacity on him as well. Gear slots, probably just his flame projector. I don't really know if he needs anything else. He could do like recon intel if you wanted to get him up there quicker. So pros, he's tough. He's a Mandalorian, no doubt about that. Standby mechanic is pretty cool. essentially giving him the opportunity to get 2 shots off in a turn when he doesn't have an order is awesome. I will say this is a con in terms of he doesn't have a comm slot, so he can't do like comms relay, and that kind of sucks for me because I think the best way to play him would obviously be giving him 6 standbys over the course of the game, but if you're bringing his cards, you're probably doing more like 3, which is good. I mean, getting to shoot twice with his guns is no joke, but that is a very small dice pool, and Sharpshooter 1, great, but there's going to be times when you roll those 3 black dice and you just don't get a hit, or you don't get a crit, or you only get 1 hit. Like, I've seen it plenty where I'm just like, okay, cool, suppression, moving on. So that's a feels bad moment, but Hunter, things like that hopefully help. Move and shoot is good on the other hand. This is probably the biggest good part of him compared to maybe Empire Boba is like, okay, I can move, I get an aim, I'm going to shoot you. Like that. I like that a lot. Especially since he has Pierce 1. Very nice. Just do some nice blink damage as you're moving up. Also good with his cards, but we'll talk more about that in a second. You can see his flame projector at the bottom there. I think the flame projector is really good, and I think it makes use of his arsenal 2 for 1 more turn, and can really help you wipe out some units, especially in melee. I think that's definitely his biggest thing, is that melee attack's pretty decent, and I think throwing tenacity on there can really help you validate bringing this guy. Cons, feel situational. He does feel slower after playing things like Boba and Sabine. He's definitely slower. I know it doesn't seem like that much. It's like, okay, speed 2, jump 1, but speed 3 is quite drastically faster. So is something to think about. The standby thing, it can work, but for the most part, it's almost like incentive for me to shoot Boba, especially when I'm playing against him. Which, you know, you're like, oh, good, please shoot Boba with your surging to defend. Well, there's just a lot of times where Mandalorian armor will fail you, and it doesn't take nearly anything to take that standby off there. You know, I don't actually have to hit you, I just need to put a suppression on, and then, you know, whatever else happens. So, very situational in terms of when that standby actually works out for you. It's more of a zoning tool that allows you to keep enemies away from you. So, that part, Arsenal's less useful. He doesn't have 2 weapons he can use at the same time, which is kind of weird to me. You can't use the stick and the carbine in the same turn, so that's a feels bad moment. Flame projector is why I think it's good, because it gives you a turn you could. And I play the Empire version of Boba a lot, so going from that to this just absolutely feels like a downgrade, especially for the same cost. But there's still potential here. I still think he's good. I still think people are going to make good of him. In terms of talking about his cards, we will talk about them in the operative section more, but just to kind of review them, he's got the flamethrower, the RPS, the whipcord, the 3 new cards, the 1 pip that allows him to extend the range of all his weapons, perform speed 1 move with stuff, his new 2 pip, which is making way in the galaxy, allowing him to do that 2 red, 1 black attack, versatile, impact 1, everybody at range 1. That's really good for this guy. And then the 3 pip, Roll with Respect, is an amazing card that I think even in Rebels can really amp up that damage. It's just unfortunately if you're playing that kind of a list that Boba is enforcing the gun line to shoot more with more dice, I don't know if Rebels have a good enough gun line to keep up, even with that little trick. So, still think he's good. I just kind of feel like the Rebel version is rough for the most part. The biggest thing for me is that Arsenal 2. It's almost like I need to take the original Boba Fett's cards to utilize that. But, moving on, still think he's a good character. I definitely need to see some more games of him and some people that get more games with him, if that makes sense. I need to see more experienced players put him on the table after they've gotten a good amount of experience with this guy. But, does seem cool. Mandalorians are always awesome, so if you like this dude, please play him. Luke. Luke has been the poster boy of the Rebels for a long time, and I am talking about Operative Luke. He's got Jump 1, Charge, Deflect, Disengage, Immune Pierce, Master of Force 1, 7 Health, 4 Courage, Surge to Crit, and he's got a good old-fashioned 7 black dice, Impact 2, Pierce 2. Give Luke an A. I think he used to be an A+. I think the slight changes to his faction, which I don't like to use his faction as a reason that he goes down, but that is part of the conversation. More importantly, he doesn't surge to defend anymore with dodges. I think that is the main reason I brought him down for that, you know, top of the top performance. But if I'm looking at those 3 force upgrade slots and the training slots, Burst of speed, force reflexes, force push. You might consider some different things for the training slot now. I would do tenacity. I think he needs to kill as much as possible, and I think he most certainly can do that. But you could definitely do into the fray now that he doesn't search to defend. I just think with disengage, sometimes you're moving around a little bit more, and you're moving towards units that have already activated, meaning you're not going to get those surges. But nonetheless, do what you want with this guy. I just think burst of speed's great on him. I think he's one of those you can still justify it on. But if you want to do something like Jedi Mind Trick or whatever else, go for it. He's got 3 slots. Be creative. Great force user. Disengage is awesome. Allows you to save that force push for different plays, different, hey, this unit needs to move off the objective. I'm just going to move away from this melee. And it's awesome. It's such a great keyword that I think is actually one of the best parts about his kit, allowing him to utilize his force push in a lot more objective style rather than the typical, I need this guy off me so I can move out of melee. Love it. Okay. 3 or 4 slots, like I said, you can play around with those. Do what you want. I definitely think he likes force reflexes, but some people out there may be trying some different stuff. 7 HP, awesome. Big dice pool. Sometimes those black dice can fail you, but for the most part, with surging to crit and things like tenacity, you're going to be very satisfied with the lightsaber. Courage 4, yeah, double thumbs up. We're going to look at his command cards. Amazing. Cons, he's extremely pricey. He's all or nothing, no more surge in melee, and his faction's on his back at times. So I absolutely love Luke. I played Luke a lot when, the dodge spam was a little bit more of a thing, and it was great. It's like, okay, my core can take a decent amount of damage, they can shoot back, they can fight back, and I've got this powerhouse of Luke at the front lines. Now all that dodge spam stuff's gone, and it really feels like Luke has the weight of the game on his back from the first turn, and that's never a good feeling. I understand that Force users definitely have more of a role to play in terms of not necessarily carrying the game, but needing to participate a decent margin to make up for those points that you do pay for these guys. I think Luke just doesn't have a lot of friends that can work well with him in terms of how much of the list he takes up with his price. And he's not like crazy pricey, it's just the things you can bring with Luke and want to work with Luke can sometimes feel very lackluster compared to someone that's bringing a Vader and still somehow has 3 shores, 3 mortars, and 3 snipers, or some stormtrooper shores and 3 bikes, like whatever it is. And then you're looking at the rebel player and he's got like 2 naked or 3 vets, 3 MK2s, and 3 snipers, and you're like, oh, okay, that's the same kind of matchup in terms of that 3-3-3, but it feels very different, and it feels like the rebels kind of lose that fight. So Luke definitely feels like more so than ever he needs to carry the game. He needs to get maximum value out of those points you're putting into him, and that's not always a good feeling. I know a lot of my rebel friends that have played him are just like, man, if Luke ever dies or just doesn't do what he's supposed to do, like, I lose the game. And that kind of sucks because you don't usually want to put all your eggs in one basket, but he can absolutely do that. Luke is a beast, and these cards just kind of go along with that. Attacking twice with Son of Skywalker, yeah, absolutely. Serving your master well. Choosing a unit at range 1. Free mover attack with that unit. If it's suppressed, be an enemy unit. Full surprises, he gets white dice for every courage value he has over his panic, or over the amount of suppression he has. So if he has 0 suppression, he gets 4 extra white dice. If he has 1 suppression, he gets 3. So on, so on. And he gets 1 dodge token. Very good card. A lot better when the surges worked in melee. Kind of made you, not going to say invincible, but super hard to kill. Still really good, though, especially when you need to kind of close the difference and you know you're going to get shot. Turn of the Jedi, taking off suppression, getting a dodge. Awesome. I am a Jedi. 2 units at range 1. Can't attack. Haha. Allies the Force. 2 people get dodges. So, love these cards as well. Things like Son of Skywalker, Serve Your Master Well, Full Surprises, Turn of the Jedi, I Am Jedi, I Am the Force, all great cards. Reason I knock him down a notch is things like Full Surprises that used to be amazing in terms of any situation, now has a little bit less value in like a melee. Like maybe one of those 4 white dice show a paint, but for the most part, just gonna blank. And your red dice are kind of by themselves in that situation. So not saying it's not valuable, it's extremely valuable. It's just one of those examples of like, hey, this is why Luke isn't an A+. For all the Luke fans that are going to watch this video, keep going, because this is probably one of your best choices. So, cards are great. He's just like Vader. If you're a Rebel player and you want to find success and you want to find some more wins in your games, I think that he can do it. He's just like Vader in the sense that he can win the game by himself. I just think he has a little bit more responsibility to do so than something like Operative Vader. That's why he's a tad bit lower for me, and that's kind of his faction's fault in terms of their strength right now, more so than it is his fault. So, hang in there. K2SO, give him a C. Got to calculate the odds. Armor 1, detachment for Cassian, meaning you got to bring him with Cassian. Or rather, you got to bring Cassian to bring him. Incognito, very cool. Teamwork Cassian Andor, 5 health, 2 courage, surge to crit. And 5 red in melee. That's his gun he can take. Range 2, Pierce 1, suppressive, 5 white dice. That's fine. His card, Guardian 4 at the end of K2's activation, you may choose another friendly commander or operative at range 1 and line of sight. If you do so, defeat K2SO and units cannot perform ranged attacks against the chosen unit until the end of this round. So, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone use this card. I most certainly won't. I'm not saying it's bad. It definitely gives your army some red saves for a turn, but the fact that you kinda don't get the other part unless you're willing to lose K2SO is just unfortunate. For objective play, I'm sure there's some people that have used it and, gotten to recover the supply out of the middle of the board and won the game like that. So it's awesome. I just think for the most part, this card is going to come second to a majority of other 3-pips when you're playing something like Rebels that usually have a lot of commanders with a lot of different card options. But still cool. Pros, great synergy with Cassian, feed each other, aims, dodges, you name it. Surge to crit, that blaster can either hit like a truck and accidentally do 3 crits, pierce 1 and suppressive, or you can blink every single one of them and get 0 value out of it, especially when you're breaking something like Incognito, a really good objective play, essentially making him invisible into your range 1 of something or perform an attack or an objective. Super great for him, probably one of his best features, but once you need him to start getting into the fray, start shooting stuff, start playing the objective, the gun can fail you, his saves can fail you, he's got 5 health, he doesn't search and defend or anything like that. Yes, armor 1, cool, plenty of stuff that can wipe him out. Has to play with Cassian, it's definitely my biggest thing. It's like you've already decided 2 characters in your list, which is fine, I mean it makes sense. Range 2, and he needs his gun. Like, he's not 70 points, he's 80 points, right? Because we really want to bring that gun. Unless you don't. If you have it, tell me about it, because I think that's where he gets his value. So if you wanted to play him purely for the objective, I guess you could not do the weapon and run him at stuff, but there are situational objectives in my mind that don't really need him to do that. Like payload, sad. Like, I think there's a point at which he does want to go on the offensive and get the value out of that. We can just pay 40 points for a Rebel Trooper unit to hold the back objective. So, nonetheless, still a cool unit. I just don't think he does anything too crazy or special, especially since you had to bring Cassian as well. So we're going to talk about R2-D2, the MVP of the Star Wars franchise. He's got Repair 2, Capacity 2, Secret Mission, Grounded, Inconspicuous, pretty much the same thing as Cassian in terms of if he has a suppression. He's got to attack someone else, which is pretty cool actually. He's got 4 health, Surge to Defend, Surge to Hit, Courage 2. Can bring 3PO, which gives him Calculate the Odds, 2 more health for 15 points. Distract, allowing you to make another unit take the hits for you. Counterpart R2-D2, so you got to bring him with R2 obviously. This dude used to be a menace to society. Rebels and Guard players used to laugh like maniacs because this dude was hilarious. When I first started playing Legion, he was a menace to society, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen to see a little 35-point free objective player, essentially. But now he's 55 points. So Secret Mission's still great. Repair is amazing. Like, if you're running a vehicle, like, yeah. 4 health, yeah, that's amazing. 3PO makes him a little bit better at supporting, so you can kind of stick your R2, middle your army, do that stuff. Inconspicuous helps with that as well. Cons, oldest trick in the book. It's like, I'm going to put RT on the side of the board, trying to run him at you, get an objective. It used to make more sense when he was 35 points. Now that he's 55, it actually makes even more sense for me to just go kill him, to deny that point, and get 55 points of kill points. So now you definitely have to play a lot more strategically in terms of where am I going to put R2, how am I going to keep R2 safe. And I'm not saying that wasn't the case before, but you could kind of get away with just giving up 35 points at times to make your opponent put a 65 point unit, 75 point unit, even just a 45 point unit across the table from him to stop that. And sometimes they couldn't because, you know, R2's not super weak. He's 4 health, searching defend on white, so. But still, like, you get the point. You tried to just make your opponent split something to go get him. Now it's even more worth it because I'm getting 55 points out of it. Great. Feels a little bit pricey with C-3PO to me. Can feel like he can lack purpose when those games do come, that maybe your objective isn't the best or your deployment isn't the best, condition, whatever the situation is, and you're just like, man, I don't think R2 is going to get to the other side without some help. Now he feels like more of a responsibility than he does anything good for you. It's just a straight up liability. It's not something that's helping you. He's a primetime bounty target. It's like, okay, I'm going to make sure you don't get the secret mission, and if I do so, I may get a point myself. So that sucks. Command cards are fine. The 1-pip's great, but they're super selfish for someone like this. I give him a C- for Rebels and then a D+ for Gar. I think with the Rebels, he can maybe work with a couple vehicles, kind of go get those points. That's what the Rebels are kind of looking at right now, is playing the objective. So there may be a couple lists where you can utilize some different strategies and cheese to kind of get him in there. For Gar, I guess it's kind of interesting to do something like calculate the odds on like Anakin and like share those stuff. But the fact that it gets a suppression, just, I don't know. And 3PO's 15 points. I just don't know if I need a 70-point battery. Padme can do the same thing, but other stuff as well. They're cards, so not a huge fan. Can repair vehicles. I don't know. Maybe you'll see a Cody list like that. Just not very impressed with R2. Cards, 1-pip, amazing. Increases the speed, dodge token, suppression token, disengage, and jump 1. Essentially the I need to get out of here quick card. Prop to immolation. After R2 performs an attack, you may perform a free move action. R2's activation, he gains a following weapon. Cool. Don't know if I've ever seen anyone use this, which is fine. I'm not saying it's bad. Smoke screen, another friendly trooper, speed 1. For the following, smoke 1. You can do that for 3 points and save yourself a card. Yeah. Moving on. Sabine, 125 points. Yeah, give her a D. Sorry, friends that love Sabine. Jump 2. Gunslinger, impervious, nimble. 5 health, 2 courage, search to crit, search to defend, 2 black and melee, and then got the gunslinger pistols, which is red, black, white, pierce 1. Got some slots here. Training slot, probably just do situational awareness because she's got nimble. Probably do things like her gear or prepared supplies. And Darksaber, obviously, for her weapon. I recommend the Darksaber for the most part. I think it gives her a good little versatile kit to kind of make her good at everything. It is a 15-point weapon now, but I don't know. I think it's actually kind of worth it. Got some other stuff going on here. She is tough to kill. She's got gear options. I think that's one of my favorite things about her. She was the first character to really introduce, hey, look, I've got special stuff you can bring for this Mandalorian. I thought that was really cool. But 5, 15 in terms of points on the top there. Has a lot of options. She's fast. She's mobile. Panic rules actually help her, in my opinion, and Gunslinger. Easily, my biggest thing about Sabine was before the rules change was, hey, I'm going to suppress her, and she's probably going to fly off the board, or at the very least, she's not going to get any actions. Now, if I do that, she's still not going to get any actions. She isn't going to run away, though, and she's also going to take 2 suppression off because of that courage, too. I think that actually helps her a ton. I know I still give her a D, but I have more reasons for that. Range 2, 5 HP. Okay. Range 2, fine. But, Gunslinger helps with that a little bit. Sharpshooter 1 helps with that. I mean, not Sharpshooter 1. Search to crit helps with that a little bit. But you're mostly looking for crits at this point in time in the game. With everyone having heavy cover, shooting 2 different things. Honestly, you're going to be looking at just dealing out a suppression every once in a while. And that's a really bad feeling when you're risking her HP or her getting shot because you're coming into range 2 and you're maybe getting a model off the board. That's not what we're looking for. So I don't like the inefficiency of her shooting at all. You're rolling 6 dice search to crits. You probably are going to take models off, but if your opponent has, like pikes and situational awareness, it's like, okay, 1 crit through, okay, dodge 1. And that's going to happen every single time she shoots, and you're just going to be miserable playing Sabine. So one of my biggest things with her, got to get into range 2. She may not even kill anything, and then 5 HP, 1 bad roll, and she's gone. Nimble helps though, Impervious helps, Jump 2 helps her get out and do different things. She just gets expensive really quick as well. I don't know why she's more expensive than a lot of bounty hunters. I think she's a little bit worse than some of them, so I think she's overcosted for sure. And then that Courage 2 still sucks. I mean, getting 1 less action or just not getting any actions still hurts her a ton. So I give her a D. I think she's actually a lot of fun to play. It's just that fun has slowly deteriorated with the amount of units that have abilities to really negate that small amount of plink damage that she's looking to do. The Dark Saber helps a lot in terms of melee, Dauntless, all that good stuff, but don't know if it's enough. I do love her 1-pip. I think that's a lot of fun. I have some good friends that play Sabine a ton, so I've seen this card used many a times. Arm 2, so essentially you're putting 2 of these bombs down, and then after she puts them down, she can do a speed 1 move, get out of there, and then she can detonate both of them. Search to Crit Blast, a red and a white. I've seen this card kill 14 B1s before, and I've seen it, just do suppression. But I think it actually is a really good card, even just for that suppression aspect in terms of, hey, I'm dealing out 2 suppression because I'm doing this bomb twice on, maybe 6 different units. The only downside of this is I think you actually want to already be in range to plant the bomb before you use this card. I see a lot of people speed 3 in, plant the bomb, do speed 1 back. And unless you're kind of hidden, I think that's kind of what gets her killed most of the time. So she goes for a big bomb and then everyone just shoots her off the table because she's kind of stuck in front of your army after she did everything to them. But still super cool card, and I think it's got a lot of damage potential for sure. Symbol of the Rebellion, which she activates, she recovers, giving her things like her shield back, getting that suppression off, all that good stuff. Graffiti token, really cool aspect of her kit. You put it on a piece of terrain at range 1, and then I think it's range 1 of that piece of terrain. Any of your units that roll for suppression roll better dice, and then your opponents roll 1 less dice, which is actually kind of bad. But for the most part, this card, in the Graffiti token in particular, doesn't really occur a lot as you think it would, in my experience, but I'm sure some people have had some success with this card. I just think it sucks. It's a 2-pip that only gives her an order, making her a little order hungry. So that's unfortunate. Legacy of Mandalore, she gets Inspire 1. When she issues an order to a commander, operative, or special forces, she gets 1 aim or 1 dodge token for each one she does. So cool little way to kind of charge her up a little bit for 1 turn and actually give out some orders, which I think is cool. Nothing too crazy though, kind of just deters you from shooting at her for 1 turn. Maul. Maul. Hello, buddy. Maul's actually probably one of my favorite characters in Legion. Probably my most, in terms of experience playing something, would be Maul, so absolutely love this guy. Ton of fun. Jump 1, Deflect, Immune Pierce, and, oh man, I don't know how to say that, Judo Mastery. While you're wounded, you can perform 1 additional action during your activation. 2 move actions though. 6 health, 3 courage, no surging either way, 4 red, 4 white, impact 2, pierce 2. We'll just go ahead and talk about his upgrades. He's got 2 force slots, 2 training slots. The way I like to run him is force push and saber throw, really utilizing that 3 actions, and then tenacity. And I've been doing into the fray now that he doesn't search defend with dodges, and that's kind of what I was doing in the first place. Anyways, but love him a lot. One of my favorite people to play. I think his mastery is absolutely amazing. I know some people will be like, oh, well, 3 actions just kind of negates the fact he doesn't have charge or relentless. No. Makes him amazing at objectives. Makes him amazing at just having 1 more option than your opponent in just any situation you can think of. That's my biggest thing. So my biggest thing is when he has that mastery, he has so much outplay potential that it blows my mind. He's very cost efficient. He's actually relatively cheap in a cheap army in the Separatists, so I think there's a lot of value in there. He has an awesome saber, and I think he does still have the best saber throw in the game, especially once you start just tossing name on him, things like that. 2 training slots is valuable now, considering a lot of these force users want into the fray to give them some more surges. Maul especially, since he doesn't surge either way. He's also got some really good command cards, which we'll talk about in a second, but Maul's really fun. You can get him into melee, get him in there with some aims, use his cards to increase that dice pool in terms of making it more efficient, especially with things like tenacity. It's like, okay, 5 red, 4 white, I've got 2 aims, maybe 1 surge token. Hey, I hit you 9 times. Like, that's devastating for opponents. to roll certain things against that. Like that can win you games. So that's awesome, but you can also feel the bad side of it of, oh no, I threw 4 white dice and all of them blanked. It's very common. But still, for the most part, it's the potential is what makes it so good. Cons, he's very aggro. He can die fast without care. He's literally got a card that says, I'm taking a wound to get my 3 actions. So, especially since he doesn't search defend anymore in melee. He surges on offense and defense, so that is a little bit more of a problem. That's kind of why I've got him in an A- now. He probably used to be an A+, maybe an A after that, and now I think he's an A-. Lightsaber can be inconsistent. Another part of that is, hey, I've got a 50-50 with this lightsaber in terms of great dice and really bad dice, so he kind of needs things to make sure that he's getting the full potential out of that. Saber throw is less impactful now. I know I was just kind of bragging about it, but with heavy cover, stuff like that, not surging, you're going to see some times when you don't. I still think you can really push one through, especially with things like an aim, but I'm confident that I'll see 3 hits on my red dice when I do it throughout the game. So I'm not too worried, but it is definitely less impactful, and you can still get people out of cover with force users. You can jump on a building and get behind someone, or maybe even just force push them out in the open. So doesn't have Master of the Force as well, that's another thing, but with those 3 actions, sometimes you forget about that, and you can just recover and get it back. So always keep that in mind, but for the most part, completely fine. Looking at his cards, Duel the Fate, amazing card, gives him a dodge and disengage. When Maul's engaged with the enemy unit, cannot use any green tokens, and this includes standby still. I know it's not a green token because it doesn't say green tokens, it says aim, dodge, standby, or search tokens. So, love this card. It's really amazing. Gives him so much versatility. Gets a dodge, cool, disengage, amazing. Can't use green tokens. Yeah, he can take on just about anyone in the game with this card, giving him, one of the best duelist activations that you can ask for. Phantom Menace, great versatility. You can either play the card normally, he cannot attack, and enemy units beyond range 2 of Maul cannot attack him. Great for objective play. If you got the Recover the Supplies box, play this card and run away. Divulge unit step, Maul gets Infiltrate, and probe droids can go with him. Can't do objectives, but you can still infiltrate right up next to the box and then do it. Do understand that you actually have to discard this card when you divulge it, so this card goes bye-bye. At last, a secret second 1-pip. It's treated as a 3-pip. This card is amazing just for that reason alone, that this character has 2 1-pips, thus making him a very aggro Jedi, as I was talking about earlier. Gets an aim in Jedi Hunter, and when he activates, he can suffer a win, meaning he can force himself to get that mastery that we were talking about, which is really useful. Can kind of throw your opponent off to what you can and can't do before you have that. So, looking at that makes him really good. All these cards are amazing in my opinion. Love them. Love playing Maul. You guys should absolutely try it. Try them out if you're a CIS player. Padme, C+, quick thinking, authoritative. Essentially give your order to someone else at range 1 to 2 instead. Exemplar, units range 1 to 2 can share. Tokens, no more standby sharing, so sorry Padme. Nimble, Sharpshooter 2, 6 health, 3 courage, Surge to hit, Surge to defend, 3 black in melee, and 3 black Pierce 1, Sharpshooter 2. Probably still try to bring Vigilance if you can, maybe Inspiring Presence. Can't tell you. I don't know if she's worth it anymore. Training slot, probably wouldn't worry about that. Maybe bring prepared supplies, and you can bring your pistol if you really want to as a fire support platform, but whatever. She's still a great support. She can work with any unit in the game because Exemplar. Got okay command cards, good fire support platform when it happens, and token sharing is just amazing. Cons, rules update hurt her a lot. She's one of those dodge spam characters. She also can't share those standbys now, and her good upgrades like Vigilance got expensive, and she's pretty much the only option in terms of that. So, darn, I know I still give her a C+ after all that trash talk in terms of how much worse she got, but I still think Republic players got enough in terms of the errata and the points increase or points decreases in their units that someone like Padme could still be justified. She can still work well with clones with a medic and Anakin. I still see her showing up in tournaments, so we'll see. This grade could definitely be lower with time. I definitely think she got hit hard, but I think a little bit above the middle of the road is still a decent spot for her. Just sharing dodges and aims with a faction that loves sharing everything and anything is by no means a bad thing. Courage 3 as well. Looking at her cards, her fate is in your hand. Danger Sense 2. She may transfer any number of suppression tokens from trooper units at range 1 to 2 to herself. For each token she transferred, gets a dodge token up to 2. Great suppression management. Give it to your support character. That's, even if she panics, she gets 3 off. So I think it's great, especially in the current meta or current situation of the game in terms of suppression being good for objective play. She can kind of help out with that. Crisp negotiations. She goes through an order to a trooper. She can either do a speed 1 move or get an aim, dodge, or search token. Just nice. Generates more tokens. She can use her ability to give her order to someone else instead. Diplomatic cover. Permanent. She either gets reliable 1 and she gets secret mission if it was divulged. So, infiltrate, secret mission, divulge it. Cool. And she gets a dodge token. Must be selected during round 1 as well. If not, reliable 1. The reliable 1 side of things, cool I guess, but if you're playing her with something like Anakin, like you're probably playing his reliable 2 instead. Still a cool little support feature that I think people don't use. And then, secret mission and infiltrate with a dodge token, that's no joke either. She can definitely pop out and surprise opponents with that. Haven't seen that a lot though. I think she kind of wants to hang out with the Republic forces for the most part and support them. So I still think there's potential for Padme. I think this one just needs more time for me to really decipher where she's going to stand, but I think a little bit above the middle of the road is where she's going to end up at. So this is pretty much the video for today. Remember, this is all of the operatives available in Star Wars Legion that are not bounty hunters. Yes, I know Dad Bod Boba's here, but he's technically not a bounty hunter, so just remember that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. You guys tell me what you like. I know this one was a little late this week. I got some college stuff going on, but hope you guys enjoyed. In terms of summary for the operatives that are not bounty hunters, there's still a lot of good options, especially in terms of force users. But next week we're going to talk about the bounty hunters, and yeah, they're really good. So hope you guys enjoyed. Leave criticism. Leave compliments. Leave it all. This is Legion, signing out. Have a good week, y'all.